Well, hello everybody. Max here with A1 Website Pro, and I'm here with a special tutorial today. It's all about PHP encryption, decryption, and storing into MySQL. And not only storing into MySQL, but retrieving the results and decrypting the data from MySQL. And so without further ado, let me give you an example on what you'll be learning here. This is my example script. If I enter my name here, Maximus, and enter my email here, max@a1websitepro.com, and then hit submit, you'll notice that we get the original data that came over in a post variable, which is my name and my email address. Now notice the encrypted data. Here's my name, Maximus, encrypted. Okay? Now here's my email, encrypted. And if we go to if we would go to a database, we would see these characters being stored in that database. Okay? Now good luck reading them or deciphering them. Now to decrypt the data, if we have to go to the database and decrypt it and display it on a page, we could see here that we have the decrypted data, which is the same as the original data that was entered before it was encrypted. Okay. This is just an example of how you would insert the results into a database. Okay, you do the MySQL query, then you have the variable of con, which of course is connected to your database. Insert into people, and we insert the name and the email, and then the values, which is the name encrypted and the email encrypted, and that's it. It's not very hard. Then whenever you want to retrieve the results from the database, we'll use the new MySQL. This makes a new connection to your database. This first part won't be necessary, but you get the results from selecting all from people. And then you go into the while loop, and what you want, the thing that I want to point out here is that you decrypt the name and the email using this function that I'm going to give you guys. Now, something else that I want to show you. If we resubmit this form, okay, I'll resend the data. Notice this changes, the name encrypted and the name decrypted, but still it decrypts my name and email, just like it should. Okay, let me show you one more time. Just notice this starts with MNH and that starts with YJB. It totally changes. Watch. Resend. Now it's that. So good luck to the hacker or the thief that steals a database with this encrypted data without a key. All right. Now let's take a look on the back end so I could show you how this is all working out. And let me bring up the example.php. And we'll start from the top here. All right. Now I always set my time here for America and New York just because it does funky things whenever I start doing timestamps. All right. So if we go into here, this is the key for encryption and decryption. Now this key, you can make it whatever you like. All right. It could be Mickey Mouse. It could be 10 characters, 45 characters. It does not matter. Okay. But this key you could store on a different server and bring into your server here to unlock all the information from the database. So this key is going to be the key to encrypt and decrypt your data. Okay, this key right here that we just set as a variable of key, whatever's in here, is going to encrypt and decrypt your data. And that's exactly what's happening on this page right here. Okay, so this right here is the encrypt function. This is what's responsible for taking any information that we have and encrypting it via the data. So your data, this will be your data right here, whatever data that you have in your post variables. So for example, let's see here. In this post variable, we have first name as the post variable and email as a post variable. And we're taking that, running it, putting it into the PHP function of encrypt this. Okay, so first we have our data, then we take our keys next. And this goes into a very sophisticated and powerful encrypting strategy. Okay, where we use base64, OpenSSL, AES-256 CBC, which the military uses, okay, to encrypt all of this information. Now, encrypting is all well and good, but it doesn't do you any good unless you have a decryption function, right? So we have to create a decrypt function to take all the information using the same key, right? Here's the key variable, and decrypt whatever data that you have in here. And here, once again, we use base64 decode and then AES-256 CBC to decrypt the data from the database. Okay, so here's the post variables that we send via the browser. Okay, we have a form down here where you enter your name and you enter your email, which you guys saw right there at the bottom. Our form, enter name, enter email. Okay, once they hit submit, we're using the method of post to post to the same page. And of course, it goes clear to the top of this page and starts reading it from the top down again. And it grabs these post variables, stores them in PHP variables. And then notice here, we take the first name with our key with the function of encrypt this. And what that does is that this is what's responsible for encrypting the data. Okay. The same thing with the email. We take the email, the key, encrypt this, and now the email's encrypted. Now it doesn't matter here if your input type is dates, text area, checkboxes, so on and so forth, which I don't recommend probably encrypting checkboxes or just simple yes or no questions. But anything that contains email addresses, chats, conversations, maybe you'll have protected posts and stuff like that. You can decrypt this stuff, or you can encrypt this stuff and then decrypt it later with this process. So notice the decryption process. We use the function of decrypt this. We have the name that's encrypted from the encrypt this function. We take our key, decrypt this, and finally we have the name decrypted. Same thing with the email. We take our key to unlock the variable of the encrypted information, and we decrypt it. And then we just want to display the results. Notice here the first name, I'm just grabbing from this post variable here. I didn't even clean it or anything like this. Like this particular tutorials, you'll still have to do all your cleaning and filtering your post variables in PHP. But this is a down and dirty script, so you could do what you want to with it. So here we display the original data of the name and email. Okay, the original. The next thing we want to do is to display the encrypted data. And that would be what we have highlighted here in yellow. Okay, so here's the original data. There's the encrypted data. All right, and that's how we display the name encrypted and the email encrypted. Now what we want to do is show the decrypted data. So we take the decryption process, and we display those variables there. And here you can see it does it very nicely in the decryption. Excuse me. All right. So what I did was on A1 Website Pro, I'm giving you all these scripts actually, but to insert and retrieve the data information, you're going to have two different scripts. So once again, I'm going to enter my name, Maximus, put my email, Max@A1 Website Pro. I'll hit submit. You'll notice here, once again, there's the original data. And the name and address and email have been encrypted and stored into the database. So let's go to the database. It's the database of users and the table of people. And here you can see a name and email has been stored. But you cannot read that name and email, can you? So good luck if somebody tried to steal this. Now let's go ahead and put in a different name. We'll call Bert. Well, that's an interesting thing. So what if you have it all capitals or all lowercase? But let's do all capitals. Bert, and then Bert at A1websitepro.com. And we'll go ahead and submit his information. Okay, here's the original data. And if we refresh or click on this again, we can see there is another code. All right, there's no way somebody's going to be able to steal your database and decipher this without the key. All right, virtually impossible. It'll take you 1,000,000 years to do it. Okay, so let's look at this retrieve script. Okay, now what do we have here? Well, we have entry number 1, which was my name and my email. Entry number 2, which was Bert's name and email. Okay, so this information is decrypting and displaying it on the web page. Okay, so how is this being done? First of all, to insert something into the database, how do we do that? So I got this script, insert into the database. Basically, okay, here's the process. We have a form. Now you could do a fancier form with Ajax and jQuery. That's fine. I use it that way most of the time. But just for a down and dirty example, I have this for you guys. So we have the input type of text, and we're using the variable of first name, the post variable. Okay, that's how we're storing this information. The next type is email, and I'm using the name of email for the post variable. And then here's our button to submit the information. It goes to the top of the page. Now, in the header.php, I want you to notice that I have a couple things in the script that you'll be downloading from the website. Okay, in header.php, I put the time zone, and I also included the functions.php. All right, now whenever we go to the functions, you can see here, this is where I have stored my key and the encrypt function and the decrypt function. And in the functions, I stored the config.php file. You can see here that I'm including the config.php file, and that is right here, okay, which is my MySQL connect to the localhost root. You might have to change this information for your server, for your local server. Right here, you would put your password, but since I do not have a password, I don't have to worry about it. And the database I'm using for this particular project is users. If you want to debug, you can put something like here, like connection successful or whatever, and then run that in your browser. Okay. If you need help with this, you can comment below or go to A1 Website Pro. I have all kind of tutorials on connecting to MySQL using MySQL. All right. So let's go back to the header here. So I could finish. I start out with the HTML. I use the head. I'm bringing in a couple of CSS scripts. All right. Number 1, I'm bringing in Bootstrap, and then this animate 3.5 MIN. If you notice, whenever you very first start on the best PHP tutorial, it kind of jumps. Well, it did jump. I didn't animate that. So, okay, you don't have to have this one anymore. So you could take this out. if you don't want to use that. The next thing that I'm doing is I'm including the menu.php. Now the reason why I included the menu.php is because I didn't want my header to be 10 miles long. So I created a menu.php for the Bootstrap, and so this just makes navigation easier and also makes it mobile friendly. So you guys are kind of getting this is a bonus as well, because if we take this and we shrink it down, you'll notice that it just automatically shrinks and you get that, that little menu right there. Okay. Going down the insert.php. So we know all of that's included in the header. The functions.php file, the scripts, the menu, the config file is included in the functions, which is included in the header here. All right. Now we take this form, and now we got to check to see if the form's been submitted via the post variable. Now we'll get the post variables that we're going to work with, which is the first name and the email. Now we're going to start the encryption process. I don't have to re-put the encrypted function or the decrypt function on this page, basically the encrypt function, because that's all we're doing here, because I have it included in with the header in the functions file. Okay, so that's why I don't have to put it again on this page. We'll take the first name, use our key that is on the functions file to encrypt this first name variable and store it into another variable called name encrypted. We're going to do the same thing with email. We're going to take the key, encrypt this, and store it into a variable called email encrypted. All right, then we'll display the results, the original results, just to make sure that, yes, okay, it went through as a post variable. And then next we're going to insert into the database using our connection that we're getting from the config file, which is included in the header. And we're going to insert it into our table of people, name and email. And the values that we insert are name encrypted and email encrypted. Okay? And then I'm just echoing out here via a Bootstrap class of lead. The name and email have been encrypted and stored into the database. All right, so let's go through that process one more time. We'll use Shirley, S-H-I-R-L, as a name, and Shirley at a1websitepro.com. And we'll go ahead and hit submit. Here's our original data. Lets us know that it's been stored into the database. If we go to the database, we indeed see that there is a third entry that has been encrypted. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and hit the retrieve button up here. And when you look at this, now we have 3 entries. My original entry, then we have Bert, and now we have Shirley. This data all decrypted and displayed within a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a second. Okay, so this isn't slowing your application down. This isn't slowing your website down any. It's just doing its very quick job of encryption and decryption. All right. Now let's look at this retrieve.php that I got for you guys. Bring it up here. And let's take a look at what's going on here. First of all, once again, we include the header.php. Oh, and then the footer.php, which I should have highlighted on insert.php. We're including the footer down here. And what's in the footer? Well, let me show you what's in the footer. Not much. We're basically closing out our div tag, our body tag, our HTML tag, and then we are closing our connection to our database. It's a good thing to do because you don't want to keep that connection open all the time. So you want to close that connection. All right. So let's go back to the retrieve. We're including the header at the top. We're including the footer at the bottom. Now, once we get in here, we're using our connection. Now, we don't have to do that new connect thing. like I was showing on the example, because whenever we go to the example here, you'll notice here that if I put my name, my email, and hit submit, I'm saying here that we need a new connection. We don't need that. We don't need that at all. We're just using from here down. Okay. So we're taking the result. We're selecting all from the table of people in the database of users. If we go to our config file, you can see here that we're using the users database. Okay. We're going into a while loop, checking out these rows. We're fetching the association of these rows, and we're taking the row of name and email. And notice what we're doing here with this function. Decrypt this. Now, how's this function getting in here? It's getting in here from the header, which is including the functions file. And that's how it has access to decrypt this. All right. A lot of people, I've even seen advanced programmers have trouble with paths. Okay, so that's why I am going nice and slow here, because there's no need to rush perfection, is there? This is a good tutorial, and I think that it's going to help a lot of people keep their customers secure. And you could always tell them that you learned this here from Max, your old boy Max at A1 Website Pro. Been doing this for 30 years. Okay. Now, if you're wondering what all this div class column 3 and stuff, that's all Bootstrap. So you could go to my Bootstrap tutorial, and you could learn more about rows and columns in Bootstrap. Just makes the page look pretty. Okay, and you can play with that later. But notice here we're in the while loop. We're echoing out the name, the decrypted name, and the decrypted email. Now, if you wanted to, you could actually echo out a count if you would like. Let me just show you how to do this. This would be kind of nice for you to know. I'm not going to include this in the script. I've already zipped this script up and put it on the line. But this is a nice way to make a count in your rows. So if you start out with a variable, I always call it CT. I don't know why. It just makes sense to me. And I start with the number of 1. Okay. And right here in the first echo, I'll echo out that variable, echo CT. And then I'll go at the end, and then I'll just add 1. So which is $CT plus plus. And so now every time this loop repeats, it's going to add 1 number to that and tell you how many entries. So whenever you have 1,000 entries, you don't have to guess. You just use this little trick and you'll know. And okay, so let's see what that looks like on the retrieve. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's a nice little thing for you guys to know. Oh, let me think here. Oh, what it would cost to pay for a script like this? It would cost a lot of money. If you don't mind, we put a lot of time and effort into this tutorial so that you guys can download it from the page in the description of this video. If you could shoot me a little donation. And in the next tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can search your database through your encrypted information. Like whenever you go and you're searching for a name or an email, and it's all encrypted in the database, how is that performed? And if I could get some, pretty good donations, I will make that my priority as my next lesson. All right. So go to the website in the description of this video. If you like this particular lesson, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Hate asking for that. I don't have any intros on my videos like other people do. I used to do that. It's so irritating. I took them off. So I hope you appreciate this direct lesson. And if you do, go ahead and shoot me a donation. Even if you don't subscribe or give me a thumbs up, at least give me a donation. All right. Love you guys. I will See you in the next tutorial.